if I'm the Wizards, I'm looking at this and saying, if he says no, I'm looking to start the process right away, as soon as possible.
Yeah, if you're Beal, you go, what is our franchise direction? What were we doing with Otto Porter? What were we doing with Kelly Oubre Jr.? I mean, how have I seen moves in my last several years being as part of this franchise where I am having my prime maximized? And you only get one prime, and some guys, LeBron can extend it in 15 years plus, but some guys only have a 5, 6, 7-year window.
Right.
There's urgency with that. And so to me, because he has the financial security of the 2 years coming up, you don't need to extend now. You already have some security, so you bet on yourself to some extent. And then, perhaps you force their hand to move you.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They can get a great haul for him, obviously. Whether it's him individually, if they want to attach John Wall to that deal, now that changes the dynamic some, but that's obviously been rumored. And if I'm Washington and he says no, just do that. Like, wipe the slate clean. You brought in a guy like Sashi Brown, as I mentioned earlier, he's kind of the Sam Hinkie of the NFL, even though he's just going to have a role and just be kind of a consultant, I guess, in some...
Not a consultant, but he's not going to do basketball. He's going to be operations, sort of how the team operations are.
So he'll have a voice, though, in the room. So that to me is important because that's kind of his philosophy. So I would take that tact if I were the Wizards.
But could you actually trade him before the season begins? I mean, do you have the stomach to sell that product to Wizards fans?
I don't think you could trade him before the season begins, only because 40% of the league is untradeable right now because of the rules with people who sign new contracts, and so many guys are free agents. So I think he will be there probably at least until maybe around the trade deadline when that action picks up. Bradley Beal can make more money if he does not accept this extension. So that's one thing to realize. Look, though, I have asked Brad many times, and not on camera, just sort of on the side, hey, just, for background, what are we talking about? He is as stalwart off camera as he is on camera about saying, I like this organization. I want to stay here. I want things to work out. I know that he was involved in the draft process a little bit, giving advice when that happens. So that certainly indicates that he intends to be around for a while. We will see what he decides to do. Free agency is about your own agency, right? So whatever he decides he wants to do, good luck to him. We'll see what he does on Friday. Speaking of Bradley Beal, one thing he has already decided, he has pulled out of playing with Team USA in the World Cup this summer, his agent told ESPN. Beal is expecting his second son during World Cup prep and competition, which was a big part of the decision. And we also just learned from Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer, Tobias Harris will not participate in Team USA basketball activities to focus on the season. You heard us say at the top of the show, Zion Williamson has declined participating. So with Beal and Harris, that makes 6 players to withdraw from the team in the past 2 weeks, joining Anthony Davis, James Harden, Eric Gordon, CJ McCollum. Joe Varden of The Athletic also reporting that Damian Lillard and Kevin Love are now, quote, on the fence about participating. Dave, how concerning is this for you in terms of USA basketball?
Mildly, because it reminds me of where we were with USA Basketball back in 2004. And the Redeem team was supposed to change this, where it's a thought-out process where we get people in the program and they would love to give up part of their summer, not only because you're going to, get this amazing experience of winning for your country, but guess what? It's great for your off-court endorsements because guess what? USA Basketball is huge in China.
Right.
And so to see this amount of guys so far drop out, the good thing is that USA Basketball still has reams and reams of talent to have in their place, but mildly concerning.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed for the same reasons that you've just illustrated here. What I would also say is I'm curious to see how quickly these guys jump back into the fold for the Olympics in 2020. Like, when does that have to be decided? Because if they can get the requisite amount of time to practice together and get some games under their belt together, then I would still feel pretty good about their situation moving forward.
Well, the whole reason, as you alluded to, Dave, is that this system was sort of set up within the USA structure, as it used to be that guys just showed up for the Olympics, right? And that was enough for the Americans, right? Show up, collect your gold medal, go home. When they lost in Athens, Jerry Colangelo at the time took a hold of the program and said, okay, Coach K basically said you got to participate at least the year before if you're going to show up to the Olympics. Guys like LeBron bought in, some of the biggest names bought in, and that became the basis of not just marketing, but some of the super teams that we saw, right? Yep. A lot of recruiting was done, friendships were formed, and the idea that you were playing with the best players in the world, and these were fun trips that you would go on internationally for a couple weeks with some of the best guys in the NBA. I think the placement, the schedules is a little bit different this year. The FIBA World Championships are right up against the beginning of training camp, and I think for a lot of guys just sort of going all the way to the other side of the world right before training camp starts, their teams not so excited about USA Basketball since what happened to Paul George happened. Right now, obviously that was here in the U.S., but still playing at a USA Basketball event. So I think there's a lot of factors here. I am curious to see. The U.S. can't tell all these guys, no, you can't come back for the Olympics in Tokyo. Obviously, that rule has kind of been relaxed.
To your point, though, the Olympics are going to be late July, early August.
Yes.
So I think that the timeline does help in that regard.
It's interesting in Greg Popovich and company, though, what this World Cup commitment will mean for the guys who end up going there and say they win. What do you do when, say, the bigger names want to play in the Olympics next cycle? What does that loyalty get you?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.